I was in a meeting a few months back and we were talking about businesses and how these businesses need to have like a real personality to them. And when the personality of the business and the personality of the customer don't line up, you end up with major problems. One of the things that we talked about as a byproduct of that is if a business doesn't clearly understand who their personality is, the customer is going to get all these different interactions from different departments or different people within the company, and it becomes inconsistent, and sometimes that can be extremely detrimental. And then as the conversation kind of evolved, we moved into processes. And every business that is built in a way that they're actually going to survive and potentially thrive for a long period of time needs to implement processes. Now, there are various levels that processes can be. For some organizations, it's a simple checklist that's more of a guideline. For others, it's hard in stone. You have to do this, and it's very detailed. And there's like a whole spectrum. But one of the items that I wanted to really talk about today is that idea of processes and how it can help or it can hinder. And when I mean it can hinder, I mean having processes can actually hinder your business. And here's how. So imagine that you have customers coming in, and during the sales process, your sales team goes through all their process. They get the sale taken care of. They work out what the customer wants. The product's sold. The customer's excited. The salesman's doing his little excited dance, and everybody's just happy. And then it moves from the sales team over into the operations or the fulfillment team, and maybe it's a service type business. And so it moves over, and the service team is doing their work, and they have their set of processes, and they're supposed to follow those processes. What happens when the sales team has something specific that they've told the customer, hey, it's going to happen this way, or we can take care of that. We'll address that once we're in the operations side. And then the operations team, we got to follow our processes. They follow the processes. They completely ignore all of the additional notes because it wasn't in their process to adapt to that particular situation. That case is going to be highly detrimental. I was also not that long ago talking with someone, and they work for a major company, and that major company has specific processes that they have to follow. And in this case, it was in relation to some security items. And so I was talking to them, and they literally have to go through and follow their step-by-step guidance. And I brought up a situation, what if this thing happens over here and it has no bearing on any of the steps in the process? He said, oh no, we have to follow our processes every single time. So I have to ask them to do this. Then I have to ask them to do this. And I have to ask them to do this and do this. And in this particular case, none of the things he was asking had any bearing on the problem whatsoever. So literally, you could have a situation where over here is a major issue, and the processes prevent the employees from being able to actually do the job that would solve the problem. So that's one scenario where processes can be detrimental. So it's important to make sure when we're building processes that we're not replacing the brains that employees have, but simply providing the guardrails to ensure they know this is the objective, this is the outcome, this is what we have to accomplish. And there may be legal requirements that'll force them to check a few boxes, but remind them the goal is to accomplish this thing. And when we're accomplishing that thing, maybe it's making sure the customer gets what they bought. Maybe it's customer satisfaction. Maybe it's solving the problem. Whatever that end objective is, the processes are designed to help get them there in an intelligent way, but they also have to still use their brains. Now, I wanted to tie in how this brand and how your personality of your company and processes work together as well, because that's something a lot of people haven't thought about. If you have a company and their approach and their messaging and their brand is, we are the white glove service, soon as you sign up with us, we take care of everything, but your processes say, reach out to the client and ensure they do A, B, and C, that doesn't feel very white glove. It doesn't feel like you're really taking care of them. So if you build your processes without considering all of the factors of the brand and that core promise of who the brand is, you may actually set up some processes that are not in alignment with what your brand personality is. And so another good example is if you value communication and it's good quality communication, and yet you never communicate with the customer that the order was received, you never communicate with the customer that you've started working on that order, you've never communicated that the order was taken care of or shipped or delivered, or that you're showing up at this time, or maybe you just, if it's a service business and you pride yourself on good communication, and yet you never go in and say, hey, we're on our way, we expect to be there in 15 minutes, you just show up. That is a classic example of when processes don't match the personality. Now, no business is going to be perfect, but what we all have is an opportunity to go back to our team members and say, hey, this is who our brand is. This is who we're trying and striving to be as a whole. We have these processes. If you ever see a situation where our processes and our personality don't line up, say something about it. And you build that culture where they're encouraged to give and offer suggestions on ways the business can improve. You'll improve far faster than if you limit that innovation to just the leadership team.